Hey guys, this is Fergal from Poker VIP. Welcome back to part 2 of our new cash game series over on Unibet Poker. So this is a direct follow-on from our part 1, so it's all the same tables. So any sort of reads that we had going through part 1 will carry over directly here. So without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into action. I presume most people here, if you're watching part 2, you've probably seen part 1, so you're kind of familiar with what we're doing. We're playing 4 tables of 10 and L. We're going to be grinding it out for around about a half an hour and see how we get on. So, first spot, we have pocket 10s down in the bottom left table. So we opened here from the cutoff, button flatted. We flopped, we still have our pair of 10s, obviously. We do flop the flush draw to go along with it. We flop went check, check. We led small-ish on the turn. We got called. We're going to check this back and we're going to decide if he wages. I'd love to see a check here. We have a decision. I'm not necessarily going to fold. We do just take it down, so they were drawn fairly slim. We had the flush draw and they just had the under pair and no draw. A pretty reasonable call, I think, after the flop does go check, check. I mean, I don't think they played it particularly awful. But maybe with the flush draw they could have played it a little bit differently. But I don't think they made any drastic blunders. We're going to check call one street here with our open ender. And we're going to bink. We're going to go for the check. Hopefully Ishana follows through. And we will go for the check and the raise. So we just want to set it up at an amount where we can comfortably jam on the river. If we get there, it's entirely possible that they just go all in now. So we've sized it in amount so we have just a little bit under pot left behind, and we have a pretty comfortable jam. We're just going to pot out here with our 3 deuces. And we are all in dealer. This would be a nice way to start this off if we, assuming that we have the best hand, but I'm guessing we almost certainly do when they just flat our check raise in the turn. My guess would be all of their boats just go in the middle. So we don't get any further action, but we pick up a pretty decent sized pot. That's probably the biggest pot that we've won so far in the series, which is a stark indicator. The first half of the video series, obviously, as anyone who watched it, wasn't the most riveting half hour of poker that I've ever played in my life, but it was definitely, I mean, it was interesting in some spots for sure. There was no big pots though, and obviously big pots are always the most interesting to watch. We're going to flat here with the pocket 8s. Ace 10 just gets all the money in there, which seems pretty optimistic. Now, I didn't see exactly how the action went there, but in general, if Ace 10 goes in and a single raise pot on Ace King X, you're making some serious blunders there. That's the easiest way to put that. Okay, pocket 8s, definitely not the worst of boards for us. We're certainly going to peel once. If Traz and Matt does elect to double barrel, we have a decision to make. So what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to bet small here. We deny equity to some hands like Ace Jack, stuff like that. I don't think he's ever going to go bonkers with an overpair. Like if he does happen to have the overpair, it makes sense that he checks it. But against those hands, the way I envision the action going is if I check back, he's probably going to lead most rivers. And I don't think we can fold 8s as played there. So we lose our bet anyway, and I don't think, I mean, if we just bet out there, I think he's just in check call mode here after we flatten the 10x, because we can definitely be flatting a lot of 10s there. So I think that overall line is pretty reasonable, and the upside to betting turn there on our end, obviously, is that we do deny equity to those kind of ace-high type hands, whereas we don't really put in that much worse money when we don't have the best hand. So there's kind of a decent amount of upside to that wager, and not that much downside. So we're just going to lead here, see if we can get him to fold anything, basically. Hopefully he just believes that we have the queen and we win with our 9 high, which is what happens. We'll take it. So we have recuperated our losses from the first half of the session with that hand. We are up a very marginal amount, but we are up, we'll take it. And let's see if we can go from strength to strength now and win ourselves a few stacks before we wrap up part 2. So we're only about 5 minutes in. We're gonna, as I said already, we're gonna record for around about a half an hour approximately, and see how we get on. 6-3 from the small blind. Nothing really we can do here, even if it's folded to us. I mean, we attack blind versus blind very, very wide. We don't go this wide though. And Jack 7. This guy's name is Your Fat. That's a pretty good name. I like it. He's actually on a couple of our tables. He's over here as well. Ace Jack suited, pretty easy open. No action, unfortunately. Definitely would have liked a little bit of action there, but hey, not the end of the world. Jack 8 suited will be a defend here. We're getting a little over 2-1 on our money, and assuming that Vanessa doesn't do anything funky, any hand that's, you know, reasonably connected and suited is usually a defend from the blinds. We do flop open-ended. Let's see if we can bink ourselves another straight. Oof. When he checks back, it's just so difficult for this person to have anything. So we're going to check again here and see if we can encourage some bluffs. And I think I'm just going to check again here and hope they have a king or decide to bluff it. Seems to be our only way to make any sort of substantial money here. And down at the bottom right table here, we flop top pair with the flush draw. We've bet flop, we get called pretty quickly. We are going to bet again here. And we're going to go for the check raise here with the jack and the 8. Take it down with the 10 jack suited, not a disaster. And we do get action, we'll take it. So pretty good river card for us there, obviously. Kind of surprised they didn't attack with the king queen. They probably should have been betting the turn there. They think they turned a gut shot there, right? So they have overcards and they have a gut shot, and I've shown a ton of weakness. So I think a bet there seems like it would be better than checking back. I mean, obviously against our exact holding, not so much, because, you know, we have the stones. I'm sorry, they flopped the straight draw, right? They flopped the gut shot, right? Yeah, I feel like they probably should have played that a little bit more aggressively. But hey, save the money, so can't argue there. King 4 all suited on the button. We do open button quite wide. We're not going to open that wide. We open all suited King X from the button. Jack 5 all suit, we will let go from the blinds. King 4 into the gun, nothing we can do but stick our hand in the muck. Jack Queen on the button though, definitely a hand we have potential to play. We will use it as a 3-bet if Cien Mercati, if that's how I'm pronounced. I don't know if that's just random words or if that's an actual word in another language that I'm not familiar with. If they had opened, we would have elected to use this hand as a 3-bet. They didn't, so we just get to open ourselves. We get 3-bet. Not really a hand I'm looking to defend 3-bets, especially versus the shortest stack. Kind of an annoying spot. Three 9 on the button. We have been struggling to pick up the strong hands so far today. It must be said. We have been struggling. Ace 10 we will use as a 3-bet bluff versus under the gun. We should get a lot of respect from these positions. And we have some decent blockers to their strong broadways and strong pairs. This guy overcalled here, which is very, very peculiar. Very peculiar. Okay, we flop a pair, which is decent. We will be checking this back if we have the opportunity to. This guy leads, which terrifies me if I'm being perfectly honest. It's a really peculiar lead. I mean, it's kind of hard for him to have like really nutted hands. I guess he can have like pocket queens, but I don't know if he leads pocket queens here, so it's tough to put him on a range here if I'm being brutally honest. We get out of the way. It looks like we definitely save ourselves some money anyway. There is just no way this guy is ever bluffing here. This guy can also definitely have pocket queens, actually. Really interested. I'd love to see what this guy has, to be perfectly honest. I'd love to see what he leads there multi-way. Okay, we defend queen 10 up on the top left table. We flop top pair, which is definitely going to be good for calling 3 streets, or almost certainly. Don't envision ourselves folding this hand at any point. 9 doesn't really scare me too much. I'd be pretty surprised if he's double barreling a 9 here. Like, I'm not thrilled to see a triple barrel, and I wouldn't be shocked if we're beaten by here by like a better queen, or like, you know, he can definitely have like aces, kings, stuff like that as well. But it's just a hand where, you know, this guy has seemed on the more aggressive side, so it's not entirely impossible that he just has bluffs here. We have top pair. It's about as good a hand. Like, you know, it's one of the better hands that we're going to end up with. It's close to the top of our range here. Really surprised to see him going 3 streets of queen 10 there, especially on the 9 board, because like we definitely have way more 9s than he has. Like, it's just, when we call 2 streets in position there, we definitely have a lot more 9x. So that seems like a pretty optimistic triple barrel to me, because I don't think it was a bluff, and there's very few worse hands that I'm calling down with there. Okay, ace 9 we are going to open from the cutoff. We get action from the button. Not a particularly good board for us. Emmett can definitely have a decent chunk of hands that have connected with quite strongly here. And not necessarily, like, you know, he can definitely have a decent chunk of hands that we're actually still ahead of, but that 10 is fantastic for us. A lot of his like underpairs and stuff like that we are now ahead of. We're just going to go for the check and a check call. Betting the ace high here for value makes no sense at all. So yeah, they have the 5 and the 4, so the only opportunity we have there to make some money is to go for the check. Obviously we weren't folding though. All in, aces versus 7s. Ace wraps it up on the turn. We would have had the Nutter Butters, but it was a pretty small pot, so we're going to bet our overpair here. We do have a gut shot with pocket 8s. Pretty standard open. We're multi-way. I didn't actually realize we were multi-way. I thought we were heads up. My lack of awareness is coming through sometimes. Okay, we get called. I'm going to bet one more street here, and I'm going to look to check back river. The reason I want to bet the turn over the river is he can have some draws that won't put in any more money. He can have some hands like ace 5. He can have some hearts and stuff like that. Not overly afraid of the jack. It's a hand where I don't expect to get like check raised on the turn light ever. And now we have a pretty comfortable check back. I feel like we should have the best hand here pretty regularly, and it's possible he might call with like hand like ace 7 or something like that, but in general I think checking back here is the only realistic option. Oh, we chop it up. 8s make some sense too. Obviously hard to read people for the one single combo of the hand that you already have though. Pretty happy he didn't go bonkers there and start check raising or anything like that, or we would have been put in a pretty gross spot all around. 9-10 offsuit, we're happy to open up. And queen jack from the blinds, pretty likely we're going to use this as a 3-bet bluff. That is exactly what we're going to do. So your fat has a decision. We get him out of the way. I mean, a fold is definitely fine by us. We don't despise a call. Back raise is going to happen very, very infrequently, so we're not really too concerned about that. If he calls there, there's a lot of flops that we can, you know, continue on, which is good. But I expect, once we get through the original raiser, I expect that we just take that down a pretty large percentage of the time, which is an absolutely fine result for queen high. Picking up the extra little bit of dead money in the pot. 5-10 in the small, we will let go. So we're approaching the halfway point here now. Got about 15 more minutes to go, and then we'll be wrapping it up. Queen Jack again. This is a hand, in case people haven't gathered, it's definitely a hand that we've incorporated into our 3-betting range, and it's something that it's a kind of hand that we attack the blind from the blinds with quite frequently. If this guy opens, we may not use it from the early position, mainly because we've just 3-bet him here over on this table, and we don't want him to start playing back at us with these types of hands. From the later positions, though, definitely going to be a hand we will be using as a 3-bet bluff. From a button open, we're more than happy to do so. Snap folds, that's what we like to see. Okay, we defend the ace-5 suited. We have no backdoor flush draw. We have some weak backdoor straight potential. 6 is a pretty good card for us. We're going to go ahead and wager here. Mainly because he can have some better ace-x that he's checked back that's going to have a hard time continuing with in this board. And he can also just have kind of random overcards like king, queen, king, jack, stuff like that. And folding out those hands isn't, again, it's not a complete disaster. It's not our primary reason for betting there, but it's far from a disaster. So we're going to open the queen 5 suited, and we are going to defend the 8-9 suited. We have 3 to a straight and 3 to a flush with the 8-9 suited. We pick up a good shot. Let's have a bet. Pick up a pair, which is interesting. We're gonna check. I don't see any value at all here in betting. It's gonna be very, very difficult for them to call us down here. Hopefully this just goes check, check, and they show us clubs. That'd be fantastic. Just has the 9-10, eh? Just the 9-10. Alright, what's going on here? We are getting 4-1 on our money, so we are gonna go ahead and see a turn, or see a flop, should I say. Not our board, is it? Not our board. Okay, so this guy just pots it here. We're certainly not folding just yet. This guy has seen a slow play, so it's not like they can just go completely bonkers. The 9 means absolutely nada. If anything, Queen Jack is definitely a possibility here. He has the ace-10. Nice hand, nice hand. Ace-Queen, we will elect to 3-bet here versus the under-the-gun open. This is the second time in a row that this guy has just jammed all in on us. We're certainly not folding here. As long as this guy gets out of the way, we're not going anywhere. The Jack and the King. Hold, please, dealer. Nice. We'll take it. Definitely wouldn't mind seeing this guy rebuy now. We opened to like 30 cent from under the gun a couple of hands prior to that, and he just ripped it in. We had the ace-10, we folded to the jam. The ace-10 potentially was a call, depending on just how often he is doing the whole all-in thing. But we didn't have much information. It was the first time we'd seen him do it. Now that we're seeing him show up hands like King Jack, I still probably wouldn't call ace-10, but we would be monitoring him pretty carefully, and if we see him make a few more jams like that, then ace-10 definitely becomes a call. We're going to check one street here. If it goes check, check, I was going to start betting. Now that we have showdown value, there's less merit to betting. Now we have a lot of showdown value. So I will bet. I don't expect to get called here too often. Oh wow, it just has the queens. No 3-bet pre, eh? No 3-bet pre. Interesting. So I think that's a pretty big blunder there. A hand like queens is, I think in my opinion, too weak to be slow playing there. Especially versus me, who's been reasonably active so far. I think you're better off 3-betting and hoping that I plan on continuing, and just looking to build a pot pre. It's very hard to stack someone with like with a pair of queens without hitting a queen in a single raise pot. All right, let's defend with the 10s. That's a pretty good flop. We're just gonna call here. Ace-Queen is now a bit of a concern, but if he has Ace-Queen, then we're going to be losing a pretty chunky sized pot. So, I mean, he's bet 2 streets on this board. I'd be pretty surprised if he has a hand he's planning on folding, so I'm just going to stick the money in now. decent number of bad cards can hit on the River Force. 8-9, we are going to call. He just had the flush draw with the open ender. Nice. We'll take it. We will take it. Okay, 4 isn't great. Occasionally we're drawing dead here. I mean, not that often, but definitely a consideration. We're not getting really the right price here to continue, especially since we do have some reverse implieds if we are already drawing dead, and occasionally he can have like flush draws and stuff like that, which taints more of our outs. So we're going to go ahead and let this one go. But that was a pretty decent outcome for the pocket tens hand though. And that's put us up into, definitely into profit land for the session. So we're up a little over a buy-in here. We're up about €12 approximately, a little over €12. So we're beating minimum wage anyway, which is always good when you're playing the micros. This guy's 4xing it from the button. We're not going to be 3-betting a 4x from the button with the king queen, especially when they have been sizing it down from the button previously. So that could be a sizing tell for that's indicative of hand strength. Some people will go larger with their stronger hands. And when we have something like that, even though I don't know for a fact that that is what he's doing, because it is a reasonably strong possibility that that's what he's doing, I think Queen Jack then becomes a pretty easy fold, versus a hand that I'd normally, versus a normal sizing, it would be a hand I'd use as a 3-bet bluff. Okay, pocket 8's pretty easy open. King 7 on the button, we're happy to bring it in as well. This guy's name is Wax On, Whack Off. Classic. King Queen, easy open on both tables. And 5-8 suited, I mean, I guess we're going to call here and just expect to see a multi-way flop incredibly frequently. Okay, our friend over here, Emmett, has flatted, and Golden Boy here as well. We're happy to check this back. We have the nut no pair, and we have the backdoor heart draw. One of the better cards in the deck for us. We obviously now have Showdown, and we also have a draw to the Nutter Butters. If it's checked to us twice, 3 times rather, I will go for a value bet. Potentially get hero by worst pairs, by worst Queen X, and so on. Occasionally we're value owning ourselves against an ace, but that's okay. No raise with the ace 4, or that feels like he played that relatively niddly, but that's okay. We don't mind. Ace 3 suited, certainly going to be a hand we will be playing here. I'm just going to defend here versus an open. This guy's name is Oren Jesus. That's a great name. That is fantastic. Some of the usernames on this site have been on point. It's kind of cool. There's a site that allows you to use multiple usernames, so it kind of gives you that degree of anonymity. So you have a bit more flexibility with your usernames since you're not kind of locked into one, which I think is quite cool. Deuce Jack will be a fold. This guy is really taking his time here. I wonder, is he just not at his desk potentially? 5-3 off, we will be folding the button, and 5-4 off suit, we will also be folding the small blind. So we managed to play almost a full hour of poker. I don't think we've picked up one premium pair. We picked up pocket 10s, not big. Like that, I mean, to be fair, that was a hand where we picked up, we binked a set and we got all of the money in, so we can't complain too much. But we've definitely been on the lower end of variance when it comes to our pre-flop card distributions, I feel. But hey, that happens. Sorry, pardon the update. When this guy 3-bets us, we have a pretty trivial fold with the raggedy ace. And 9-10 suited, a hand we will likely play. This is a hand we will defend versus the 3-bet. With flop top pair, we have 3 diamonds too. Certainly not going anywhere in this flop. F4 isn't particularly good for us, as if he has the overpair, we have less outs. We are going to call one more street, and if he bombs, we will fold. It's such a weird card for him to really triple barrel. Like, I mean, he's wrapping his overpairs, and we just have like so many flush draws that have gotten there now against him, so it just seems like such a weird card for him to triple. We're going to fold. Not in love with that scenario there. I don't love that scenario there. Entirely possible we got bluffed there. I don't think it's like massively likely, but maybe he just is going for value with like an overpairs, like just not thinking about the flush. That's also entirely possible. I don't feel like he should be though. A6, let's open it up under the gun, or mid position realistically, since we're only 5-handed here. So we'll be wrapping up the video reasonably soon. We've got about 5 more minutes, or a little bit under. Hand of the night definitely goes to the pocket 10s, where Queen 8 just got out of line against his pre and ended up with all of the equity in the world. Just realised I'm not in for 100 bigs on this table here. Let's do that. Alright, we're going to start this off with a check. Certainly not check folding. We want to pot control here. Ace King has a lot of showdown here, blind versus blind. And if we bet here, we're just going to fold out most hands that we're ahead of. And there are like a reasonable number of hands that we're like properly crushing. And we just pot control as well, as I said, when we do have the worst hand by not c-betting. Very happy to see this go check check on the turn. We've got a pretty trivial check call here now. How he does not bet an 8 there, I will never understand. Seems like the easiest bet in the world to me. We're going to call one more here, mainly because our straight is going to be reasonably well disguised if we hit. And we can lead. If we hit a non-spade, we can lead really, really comfortably and expect to get paid a very high frequency of the time. So we have a pretty decent amount of implied odds. And I mean, even if we do hit this, even if the spade does complete, we still lead, but we just can't go as big, basically. We can, but if when we lead there big, we can really rep hard the Mr. Flush draws. So we get called down pretty light there pretty often, I think. But alas, we do not improve. Queen 10, we will open the button. Jack deuce suited, we will fold the cutoff. And ace 4 will fold from mid position. Don't hate taking it down with the Queen 10, definitely not a disaster. Wouldn't have despised some action as well though. That would have been a pretty good board for the Jack deuce of blue. Obviously not a hand that we can be playing from those positions though, of course. Okay, king queen in the big, we will likely be playing. We are just going to just flat here, assuming it's folded to us. When it does go 3-bet, we can't continue. We're just going to go ahead and let this go. As does wax on, whack off. H deuce in the small, nothing we can do there. And we're coming into the last minute, so we're going to be wrapping it up here now. I'll play one more hand on each table, and that will be the end of the day. As always, if anyone has any questions, queries, comments about any of the hands that we have played, feel free to leave them on the relevant social media, on YouTube, on Poker VIP, anything like that. I always do my best to track any new comments for a while after the videos go up. And we're going to close down this table. We're going to play the ace-king here. Might as well play it out on stream when we have an actual legitimate hand. We have a pretty easy ISO here with the ace and the king. So, not a board that we've connected with too strongly. We're going to go for the check call one street though. If he double barrels, we're just going to go ahead and let it go. Alright guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I will be back again with more videos very soon. Take care and have a fantastic evening. Right as we get to we'll play Jacks purely because, I mean, why wouldn't we, right? Why wouldn't we? See if we can get some revenge versus Damon. I'm just going to 3-bet really small here, mainly because I think there's a very high chance this guy goes all in anyway. So we have the potential to come back over the top. So if this guy calls and this guy goes all in, we can come back over the top, which is quite cool. Wow. Okay. We don't really want to get it in versus a cold 4-bet. This is a pretty grim spot. Kind of should have just ended the video. This is a bit of a grim spot. I mean, it's cold 4-bets are just so incredibly rare to see at these stakes. On this side, like this side in particular, it's just so rare. I'm gonna go ahead and make a very, very tight fold. I'm not thrilled about it, but I think our only other option is just to get the money in now, and I'm not a fan of doing that at all. So we're gonna go ahead and make the nitty fold. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. It's been fun. Take care and have a great day.